The protestant has now rested its case. I know we're not going to finish the protest hearing today, but I want to start the protestant's case because we have 2 afternoons available, and they're afternoons, and there is no way we're going to get through 7 witnesses in an afternoon at a reasonable hour. So that's one of the reasons why I want to start the protestant's case today. Maybe have 2 witnesses and maybe reserve. Um, the dates that I'd propose to council, what we could do next Wednesday at 1:30 and the following Wednesday at 1:30. Those are the 2 available dates. Does that date work for you and your witnesses?
So I can speak for JP Morgan. We have a slight preference for March 6th because I have another hearing the morning of the 28th, and I just don't want to be late.
All right. So are you is March 6th available? Because I just looked on the schedule. It's a regular Wednesday, and so we are available on a Wednesday to have a hearing. But I know that we're not going to go through 7 witnesses in an afternoon and be done by 6 o'clock. That's just not realistic. So that's one of the reasons why I want to do some witnesses today. I want to go maybe till 5:30 today. So 5:30 today is when we're going to end. Okay, so we're not going to go beyond 5:30. It's 4:45, and so if we're going to do a witness, it doesn't look like we're going to go. So that's what. So do you have 2 witnesses that you wish to call today that can accommodate? It's now 4:45. Or how many witnesses you can accommodate between now and 5:30, the latest? Because I want to end this hearing at 5:30. So tell me how you want to and let me ask you a question. Does March 6th at 1:30 works for the parties?
I can make that work, Mr. Chair.
All right. So I will let Ms. Jenkins know that we're going to continue this hearing at March 6th at 1:30. All right. So protestants, who is your first witness?
I want to call Ms. Strauss, ANC Commissioner Strauss.
All right, Ms. Strauss. All right. Ms. Strauss, can you raise your right hand, please? You swear or affirm to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, your witness, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Strauss, good afternoon. How long have you been an ANC commissioner?
For a little over a year. I started my term in January 2023.
Thank you. And does your single member district that you represent, does that include the Iraq Lion nightclub location?
It is not my SMD, it's Michael Schenkel's, but I live about 4 blocks away, and my SMD is maybe the boundary is a block away from the building in question. But I'm representing ANC 2C because Michael could not be here.
Right, and you are authorized by the ANC.
Yes.
To represent the ANC. Thank you. What is your experience with nightclubs generally in this area, in the geographical area?
So I know about like Barcode, the park. I also know in this specific location there used to be another nightclub. Those are the cases that I'm familiar with, and more recently, controversy with Moi Moi, but that's not really a nightclub. That was a restaurant that was open late night.
Right. But there was a violent incident at Moi Moi. Is that correct?
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on from there. As you are aware, the board has taken action on that establishment, so
Not
we
going any
don't
further
really
with
need
that,
to.
Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman.
All right.
Believe me.
All right.
Okay. What position did the ANC 2C take on this particular license transfer application?
So we voted 3 against and 1 abstaining to protest the transfer of the Class C nightclub license with new dancing establishment. It was on September 12th, 2023.
Thank you. And did the ANC receive any communications from any council members regarding this nightclub?
I believe Brooke Pinto was involved. Ward 2 council member. And that she had voiced her concerns.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to go back to the ANC's position on the license application. There was a filing, a protest letter. Is that correct? I want to show you ANC's Exhibit 1, if possible.
Mr. Carter, can you please give Mr. Blanchard the ability to share screen?
If that's not in our exhibits, I believe it's in the, which one? The mouse, I'm sorry. Too many hands, too many cooks. There we go.
You're not sharing your screen, Mr. Blanchard, so I'm not sure if
Oh.
Brief indulgence, Mr. Chairman. We're having some technical difficulties getting this pulled up.
Okay, that's fine.
I apologize. We may have to come back with that.
All right.
Ms. Strauss, did you receive any letters from residents in the community?
Yes, 2 letters. One from Folger Pratt. They're doing a large conversion at 1425 New York Avenue, which I think is about a block away. They're converting the building to 243 high quality residences. And they wrote a lengthy letter to me and Councilmember Brooke Pinto protesting this.
All right.
And they specifically highlighted how the previous nightclub was a magnet for frequent fights, shootings, and other forms of crime.
Thank you. And was there any letter from the Woodward building?
There was. So that's the existing residential building.
I'm gonna lodge an objection at this point. There's certainly nothing wrong with the question if she received a letter, but going into the hearsay contents of a letter that hasn't been admitted into evidence isn't permissible. There's no way the board could even discern reliability from that to make a determination. So just sort of accusations that appeared in some letter that we haven't seen isn't appropriate for testimony.
And the objection is sustained. So if
Right.
if there
I may have
if
to
the
come-
letter is there, I'm sorry.
I may have to come back, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I may have to come back to Ms. Strauss on our next hearing date due to some technical difficulty. Apparently those exhibits weren't uploaded on our end.
Well, so, I mean, if you all right. Do you want to move away from this witness, and then when you call the witness anew on May 6th, so we can move on to another witness today?
One
Yes,
one
I'm
other
afraid-
option.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, please. Go ahead. Who's
Sorry.
speaking?
Christopher Cohen is logged in. If you want to give him, and then maybe he can put up the exhibit, and that way we can keep moving. If we make him promoted and give him share screen, he should be able to put up the exhibit that Mr. Blanchard was referencing.
Is that what you want, Mr. Blanchard? I can
Yes,
have.
Yes, that
All right.
would be wonderful. I believe they have a copy.
All right, Mr. Carter, please give Mr. Cohen the ability to share his screen. Do you have the ability to share your screen, Mr. Cohen? All right, so what document is it that he's?
Yep, Lyle, which of the A and C exhibits is it?
I'd like to take them in order, the first being Exhibit 1, the September 29th letter that the ANC submitted to the board.
That's already in there. That was in the case report, so we're already.
It's already in the record, so without objection, I'll move on.
Right, it's in because it was in the case report for the investigator. So
Right.
if you want to ask her questions about it, fine, but we don't need that document again because it's already
No,
in the
I
record.
just move on. The second
Okay.
exhibit that the ANC has, Ms. Farmer, do you recall filing, or Mr. Schenkel filing on behalf of the ANC a motion to narrow the ANC's grounds for objecting? So without objection, I think this is already in the record as well. I'm sorry.
I'm not-
That-
I'm not- If a motion was filed, we have already ruled on the motion, so we don't really need to.
Correct.
We don't need, right. Okay, fine. Let's move on.
So then I would like to move Exhibit 4, which is the letter that Ms. Strauss already testified to, and that's a letter from Ms. Pinto, Councilmember Pinto, to the I'm sorry, it's a letter from New York Avenue Avenue Title Holder LLC to Councilmember Pinto that Ms. Strauss referred to.
Let's see.
And I believe
I'm going to
the
object.
ANC was copied on that letter.
Hold on a minute, please. Go ahead, Mr. Bianco.
So I'm going to object to this on multiple grounds. One, hearsay, and there's no evidence of reliability. Two, the ANC was not even a party to or recipient of this letter. And then three, relevance, a real estate developer, non-residents' feelings about this particular club that they think may possibly interfere with their operations down the road isn't relevant to these proceedings at all. Not to mention it can't be verified. If they have a problem, they should show up and testify.
Well, Are you saying, Mr. Bianco, that the ANC was not copied on this letter?
There's no indication of that. If we look down at the CC, it says someone
I
named.
don't have the letter in
and-
front of me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're not copied. So I don't know.
He sent it to me.
Who's he?
Apt, Mr. Apt. He emailed it to me.
I mean, again, there's no foundation, there's no authenticity, there's just no evidentiary basis for this letter whatsoever.
Can you guys show these letters on the screen?
That's up to your attorney to do that, ma'am. I mean, their objection.
Cohen?
I've not seen the letter, so I don't know what it is. I'm just asking, right? So
Yeah, it's right.
Let me move on then to
There we
another.
go. That's it. It's there. That's the letter.
hold on. All right, but let me ask a question. This is a letter. Why this relevant? I mean, this is a letter from some non-party to the council member. Why is this? I'm not going to admit this in evidence because I don't get the relevancy. This is a letter from a non-party to another individual who is a non-party. I can understand if this was a letter from a non-party to the ANC, and the ANC can say that this is one of the basis why we protest this application. But here's a letter from a non-party to another non-party, and no one can verify anything in this letter. So I'm not going to admit this exhibit. So let's move on. This is exhibit 4. So I'm not going to admit exhibit 4 in the record. All right.
That's fine. He is the signatory of the letter. Actually, is a member of the Group of 5, but he is not here to lay the foundation. So we'll just move to the other letter, which is exhibit 3. If we could raise that letter. Thank you.
So,
Ms. Strauss, do you recognize this letter?
Hold on a minute, please. Do you have an objection, Mr. Bianco?
you, Mr. Chair, and
What's the nature of your
without-
objection?
so I'm going to object to this on relevance grounds. The date of this letter is January 3rd, 2024. It's signed by a Ted Brownfield, who is actually the representative of one of the members of the Group of 5 and listed as a witness. So I don't know why his letter of January 3rd, having nothing to do with this decision to protest, would be relevant to the proceedings. If he wants to submit a written argument as to why this club doesn't meet the appropriateness standards, he's able to do that. So I don't know why we have this letter that would be received into evidence from January the 24th. Or January 2024. It makes no sense.
Is Mr. Brownfield a witness today? Or in this
Yes, he will be
case?
called later. Yes.
Then why don't you have when he's called as a witness, you can have him identify this document, and we can
Right.
make a ruling whether or not this is relevant to be included in the record. All right.
That's fine. That is fine.
I would like everyone to mute their lines, please. If you are not speaking, please mute your line.
I believe that's all the questions I have for Commissioner Strauss.
All right. Mr. Bianco, do you have any questions for Ms. Strauss?
Do. So I think your protest letter was received into evidence, and I want to talk about a couple of things in the letter. First, you state that the establishment is near a residential building on 15th Street Northwest and 8th Street Northwest, correct?
Woodward Building.
Woodward Building, right. And doesn't that building have a nightclub inside of it?
I don't think so.
Okay, are you familiar with Sashi nightclub?
I am not.
Okay. And you specifically state in your letter that the alleyway poses a security risk for patrons of the establishment in your letter, correct?
Yes, are you referring to the letter on September 29th or the letter on November 14th?
This is it.
So I'm referring to the September 29th protest letter.
Okay. So I know that we narrowed it on November 14th to the protest was on the grounds of peace, order, and quiet, including noise and litter and residential parking needs and vehicular safety.
That's correct. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
But in the letter, so I think this is related to one of the remaining protest issues, and you could correct me if I'm wrong. It says, additionally, the alleyway poses a security risk for patrons to the establishment.
narrowed
You see
that.
that there? So you're saying
narrowed
that that's no.
Ma'am, hold on. We have a court reporter. Only one person can speak at a time. So, Mr. Bianca, once he's done asking a question, then you can answer, ma'am. You can't talk.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so then am I to understand that you are no longer raising an issue about the security risk in the alleyway?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. There are other nightclubs within the purview of the ANC, correct?
There are nightclubs, yes, within the ANC.
Okay, and for purposes of this question, I can proffer to you that nightclub renewal citywide was in 2022. Were you on the ANC at that point?
I was not.
Okay. Do you know whether or not the ANC protested any of the nightclub licenses in this area when they were up for renewal?
I do not. I was not on the ANC. No.
Okay. And what is it that the ANC contends this establishment should be doing to make it comply with the peace, order, and quiet standard?
I think that there was a special concern about how large it was and the number of people going in and out in those alleys.
Okay.
And our
And-
understanding is that okay, go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to cut off your answer. Please finish.
And our understanding is that the previous nightclub had a much smaller capacity, and even then there were a lot of issues about peace, order, and quiet.
Okay. So based on that testimony, it would be fair to say that the ANC would not have a problem if the nightclub proposed was smaller.
I think that we would revisit it.
Okay. And in the course of your protest and your meeting, is there a reason why the ANC never made that request of us?
It didn't come up at the ANC meeting.
Okay. So other than the size of the nightclub with respect to the ANC's concern, were there any other things that specifically the ANC is concerned about other than generally peace, order, and quiet?
Well, I do know people were concerned about the nude dancing and the people who showed up at the meeting and a lot of the protestants in the heart of downtown, something this large.
Nude dancing. Okay. Understood. And is there, I realize that throughout the process, there hasn't been any discussions about that, but as we sit here today, is there anything that would mitigate the ANC's concerns on that front?
No.
Okay. And can I ask you this? Why is the ANC care if nude dancing happens inside this establishment?
I don't think it's the right use for that neighborhood at this time when downtown is struggling.
Okay. Well, so how does people dancing with no clothes on the inside of the establishment impact peace, order, or quiet?
I think it's more about the kind of clientele it would attract.
Okay. And in your view, what kind of clientele is that?
Can I object?
No, ma'am, you have to answer your question. The only person who can object are the lawyers.
Okay. I am I assume that kind of clientele is maybe, especially if it's a destination nude dancing establishment with a 1,200 person, that it would be a lot of people who would maybe drink heavily, come in at late hours, and cause a disturbance downtown.
And that assumption, is that based on any data you reviewed?
No.
Okay. Is it based on your experience going to such places?
Yes.
Okay. And what is your experience in nude dancing establishments such that you formed that opinion?
I mean, I've gone with friends before and not enjoyed myself and felt very uncomfortable, and those were all small.
Okay. And based on that
Nothing close to
experience,
1,200 person. Yeah.
sure. And based on that experience, you formed the opinion that a certain clientele frequents nude dancing establishments that would be detrimental to peace, order, and quiet.
That's
Is
been
that
answered.
fair
I'm
to
going to
say?
object to this line of questioning.
Mr. Chair, this is their protest, and I'm just asking them to explain the basis or the connection between what they're alleging and what's before the board. And we're not really getting any responses on that.
I'm going to overrule the objection. The witness can answer the question if she can.
So based on your personal experience patronizing nude dancing establishments, you formed the opinion that the type of clientele they have adversely impacts peace, order, and quiet. Is that fair to say?
Asked and answered.
Which is where my opinion comes from.
All right.
Okay. And did you engage in any discussions about that with the other members of the ANC prior to taking your vote?
No, we didn't talk about that
Objection is beyond the scope.
specifically.
Okay.
I mean, hold on. I clearly, I don't think it's beyond the scope because we talked about the letter, and so he's at the letter where the ANC formalized its protests with the board, and I believe all the questions that are being asked are questions that are generated by that letter. So that's one of the reasons why I'm overruling the objection.
Okay, Commissioner. So going back to the meeting where the vote was taken, Do you recall how many members of the public spoke up with respect to this application?
There were 2 there in person.
Okay.
Um,
And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
yeah,
Okay. And of the 2 folks, were either of them protestants in this matter?
like protestants right now.
Correct. In this hearing.
I believe one was from JP Morgan.
Okay.
I don't recall who the other one was or where they were from.
Okay. Understood. Thank you. Let me just see if I have anything else for you. I don't. Okay, Commissioner, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
All right. Any questions by the board members? Go ahead,
Yes.
Mr. Grant.
Commissioner Strauss, thank you for your patience. I'm a former ANC commissioner, so I know what it is to serve in that capacity, and I appreciate your service to the city. I just have a couple of questions for you. Mr. Bianco mentioned personal experience in attending the events, but in your capacity as commissioner, given the fact that maybe not in your SMD, but in nearby SMDs, there have been establishments with the new stipulation. Have you experienced as a commissioner any infractions or any situations that may have been troubling with establishments that have the new stipulation?
I'm not aware of it. It's not in my ANC. At least it's not
Okay.
come up in our ANCs.
Okay. I know that you were, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is your first term or second term as a commissioner?
First term.
First term, okay. Prior to your term as a commissioner, how long have you lived in your current SMD?
I've lived here over 10 years.
Okay, all right. That's it for me, Mr. Chair. Thank you again, Commissioner Strauss.
All right. Ms. Strauss, how many commissioners are in your ANC?
There are 4 of us. It's a
And
very large ANC.
It's a very small because there's 4.
Yeah, but
It's-
geographically very large
but
because there are so few residents.
go ahead.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's a question I was going to ask you. Approximately how many residents we talking about for the commission?
So each SMD is 2,000. So the full ANC is what? 8,000 people.
Okay, so I'm aware that each ANC is
Yeah.
represent approximately 2,000, but because there are only 4 members, I thought that the population was smaller. But you're saying it's approximately 8,000. So
Yeah.
just do you recall how many people participated for the meeting when the ANC voted to protest? You said there were 2 in person, so approximately how many residents were online, if you
Oh
recall?
man, we get a lot more people online. Most meetings, it's like 40 to 50 people who are online. That's where most of our participation is.
Okay. As you see, most of our hearings, all of our hearings are now online, and so I think that, all right. Okay, I don't have any other questions. Any other questions by any of the board members? Mr. Bianco, any questions of the witness based on the questions that I asked?
Yeah, just one point of clarification based on your last question. Commissioner, only two people actually spoke, regardless of the number that were actually online. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you very much.
Mr. Blanchard, any questions for the witness? Any redirect?
Yes, just one. Ms. Strauss, Mr. Bianco asked you about a question about security, and I wanted to ask you to come back to that. When the ANC filed its motion on November 14th of 2023 to narrow its concerns, what were the two grounds for appropriateness that you narrowed to? Do you recall? Or we could bring up
It was
Exhibit 2.
peace, order, and quiet, including noise and litter and residential parking needs and vehicular safety.
Right. And so peace, order, and quiet, do you include the concerns about security within peace, order, and quiet? Yes or no? Thank you. No further questions.
All right. So how many more witnesses do we have? How many more witnesses does the protestants have?
6.
So let me ask you a question. If we start the hearing at 1:30 on, what do you want to do today? We can end now, we can call another witness, but I want to make sure that if I'd said 5:30, but it appears that folks might be tired. So I'm trying to find out. I'm fine. I can go till whenever. I'm fine. But I want to make sure that once this hearing is reconvened on the 6th, it will start at 1:30. That are we able to do 6 witnesses in like 4 hours? And that's one of the reasons why I would prefer to push on today, although I know that folks so we can do one more witness today. It's 4:20, and then we'll break for the day. And I'm hoping that on the 6th we'll be done by 5:30, by 5 o'clock. Okay. So do you have another witness you can call today, Mr. Blanchard, or what is it that?
You.
Or if you have brief
She's pretty
witnesses.
tired.
I'm sorry. Or if you
sorry.
have brief, I know. I guess I'm trying to find out if you have brief witnesses, we can do them. If not, if we start at 1:30, we have to be done by 5. Okay, so so that's why we have some time here, and I know we're tired, but I don't want you to feel on the 6th that it's 5 o'clock and then to rush through your case. So it's based on those guidelines. The parties can tell me what they want to do. We can take a break now. We can end today, and we can reconvene at 1:30. But to keep in mind that we're going to end at 5 o'clock. We're going to end at 5 o'clock on Wednesday. All right. So we can end today.
Lyle, not to chime in here, but do we want to just take like a 5-minute break and then I can call you?
All right. Okay. It's 4:21. We're off the record until 4:30. And then the parties can let me know what is it that they want to do. Okay. So we'll be on the record at 4:30.
Thank you for this opportunity to confer.
All right. Thanks. All right.